Badoosh. Welcome to another lunchtime session. Hi, I'm Neil, your host. I'm an IT contractor and I help IT people become contractors through my 3Cs method, which I'll talk about later. So today we are talking about skills. This button here. There you go. You can see me, you can hear me. Hello. So skills skills comes in all types of shapes and sizes. Sometimes they're programming skills. It's like, did you know in Google Meet, if you hold your hand up like that, it will put your hand up as if you push the hand up button. Kind of useful, maybe. Also, did you know that if you're an Apple user, I'm not an Apple user myself, but there's also gestures and stuff, so that if you're in a real serial meeting, then apparently if you put like your fingers up like that, then you get balloons. Might be not very useful if you accidentally put your hand up like that during a meeting. Anyway, so skills are useful in understanding what tools you've got, how to interpret situations and all sorts of things. So we're going to talk about different skills today. And of course, we need skills because before you want to embark on your next step of your journey as a contractor, you need some skills to demonstrate to the customer. There's a certain path that you need to go through. You need to build up some experience. If you've seen me before, no doubt you've seen this chart before. You know, we all start somewhere. I started in 95 as an apprentice for 2 years. In 1995, I know it's a long time ago now. You wouldn't guess it by my young complexion. But I was an apprentice for 2 years and stepped up to engineer, got some more experience, different environments, different stacks, different people, then up to senior engineer, and then ultimately contractor. So what sort of skills are we talking about here? It would be useful if we know what we're heading for. And as far as IT professionals, there are a number of skills and there's a number of areas. So we could be talking about Windows desktop support. I know there's a lot of people that in my LinkedIn collection here where they started on an IT help desk supporting a business of users, and then the next stepping stone is up to maybe desktop support and then maybe server support, all within the Windows kind of space. Looking after Windows applications like Outlook and its big brother Exchange, which talks to the server side of things. And that's one kind of skill, and there's a whole raft of stuff in there. But there's also some crossover with other skills, It's using a computer, it's installing software on a computer, it's automating the installation of the software. When you set up a computer, you need other things as well, like networks and blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah being very technical there. So let's leave that to one side, and then we can look at another direction, like data analysis and things, big data, all that sort of stuff. Different tools, different environments, different people, different ways of things, different acronyms that you need to understand. Transforming data and scheduling and all sorts of other things. And that can be split into a couple of skills as well. You've got the installation side of it, where you're looking after the tools, and you've got the running side of it, where you're using those tools. Different skills. But I'm going to talk about what I know best, because I find it's better to talk about what I know best. And that is, we need skills with people. We all interact with people. You're interacting with me now, although not very interactive. This is a live session on LinkedIn. Doesn't seem to be that interactive, which is a shame. But I do hold other interactive sessions. If you come join me over on Patreon, we do a monthly Q&A where you can come off mute and talk to me directly and ask questions. Or if you're a little bit shyer, then you can reach out to me on the Slack channels instead. So we can talk about people. You always interact with the people. Then there's the technical knowledge. This is about what like the tools and using the tools, installing the tools, all that sort of stuff. You also need a skill of writing. Not at the beginning stages maybe, but certainly some point during your career you're going to have to document something. Either document how to do something so that when you move on to new and better things, whoever replaces you has got a clue about what you did and how you did it. They can write your experience down and they can learn from that. Or maybe you want to take writing to the next level, writing presentation. Not that I do much writing for these presentations. I do put these slide decks together, which gives me a kind of a path I don't stray too far off of. But writing other things, and then you might do blog articles and LinkedIn articles, or perhaps an entire book. You might have read today that I'm writing a book called Confident Contractors, which will help people become confident contractors. And then there's presenting, exactly what I'm doing here, or maybe a little bit more direct. So a brown bag, or maybe you're going to an event and you want to stand up on the stage. I've been to London a couple of times and looked out a sea of faces and got very scared with my little voice. But they gave me a microphone, so it was okay. And now I'm a bit louder now, so that's just what experience gives you. And then you bundle all of these up together and you can become a consultant and do some consulting where you're talking with the people, you're understanding the technical side of things, you're writing stuff up, and then you're giving a presentation. Whew. So, bigger picture. In my book, I know I wrote another book. Have I got one around here? There it is, up there somewhere. It's also available as a download when you do the quiz. I'll get onto that later. But in the book, there is a picture of a lean team, a software development, which is the area that I know best at the moment. Specifically, I sit within the DevOps area, but I can do developing, I can do testing. I wouldn't ask me to do UI UX if I were you. And I can do most of the roles on here. I can do most of the roles on here to some degree, but focus on what you're best at or focus on what you enjoy. Sometimes they're the same thing. But we've got the product owner, the business analyst, the delivery lead, and the other roles that I mentioned earlier. So when you're talking about technical skills, you might want to focus on one of these areas and then maybe branch out into more other areas or different areas. Some of these involve different skills, and some of them are crossover skills. So what are those? Well, I mentioned people as a skill, and we've got a bunch of roles within that diagram that sort of fit into dealing with people as a bigger percentage than the other stuff. So the Scrum Master and Delivery Lead, they are pretty much just dealing with people. Sometimes they might have a technical experience because they want to lead a technical team, and it's useful if everyone knows what they're talking about. But primarily, they're herding cats or people or whatever. Business analyst, again, very people focused. That's, if you don't know what that is, it's turning the requirements, sometimes from the product owner, sometimes from user groups themselves, and turning that into more structured technical language that you can pass on to the more technical people. Then there's the product owner, and they are kind of in charge of the product. If you want new features and bugs fixing, which new features, which bugs, and which order should they be done in? That's kind of what the product owner looks after. And then there's UI UX, user interface, user experience. And their primary purpose is, again, to talk to the users of the system and understand how they work, so that they can work best with the system that you're designing. Then there's the technical roles. There's DevOps, which is development and operations, or perhaps in your organization, you're just looking after cloud stuff. Who knows? It's a very, very overloaded term, I'm not going to lie, and it can mean many things to many people. Then there's developer. Develop things, create things. It could be developing a website, could be writing software, could be creating art, I suppose. Sure, that's a developer, but maybe somewhere in that region. My phone's very noisy today, isn't it? I'm sorry. So yes, the developer. Then there's the QA. QA, very important. QAs make sure that everything works when it's supposed to work, and make sure that the system works properly when it doesn't work so well. Like when something wrong happens, or when the customer does something unusual. Just to make sure that if that does happen, then we've got a use case, we've got a path through that handles that. It doesn't just crash, it actually tells the customer what they did wrong and how they can do it right. And then there's writing. All of us do writing, whether it's writing tickets or writing comments on those tickets. And then my delivery lead gets very excited when we don't have comments on tickets. So we should update those so everyone knows where they are. Writing code, writing articles, writing analysis of when stuff goes well. Business analyst, it will be writing a report or a document to demonstrate how something should happen or does happen. And then there's analysis when stuff goes wrong, like when something crashes or a fire happens or some other unexplained or unexpected event, and you might want to write some analysis piece around that so that we can avoid the impact of that happening again. And presenting. So many words are saying that, I guess. Anyway, showing what you've done. One of my bosses often said to me, it's not done until you tell me it's done. And in this case, it could be, show me what you've done. We've implemented a new feature, so now we're going to demo that to the team. We're going to demo that to the customer. It can be a sales presentation. We've got a new product. It's got all of these excellent features. This is how it can help you. Do you want to buy it? And then there's brown bags. Brown bag is kind of like a strange term. You may or may not have heard of it. Essentially, it's a lunchtime meeting. You bring your lunch with you in a brown bag. That's where the name comes from. And you sit down in a presentation room and your peers, your colleagues then present something to you, often a new tool or a way of using a new tool or something that they've learned as part of their experience that you might find useful. And consulting, like I said already, lots of consulting. It needs all the skills. It needs talking to people, it needs the technical knowledge, at least to some level. You need to be able to write in order to do reports and things to your customers, and then you need to present those findings either in a sales setting or in a brown bag or maybe a big conference like I mentioned earlier. And so all these skills will then get you up to the level where you can choose to become a contractor. And being a contractor gives you choices. How and when you get paid, how and when you take holiday, and most importantly, what you're going to do afterwards, how you save for retirement. It also means compliance. I'm sorry, as a contractor, there's some paperwork and there's some writing involved. And some of this involves reporting to government bodies like HMRC, and you need to stay compliant, i.e. within their rules, and make sure that everything happens for them that they want to know so that you can get on with what you want to know. And choices with cash flow. Now, how to write invoices, accounting, working out how much tax you should be paying, because everyone wants to pay the correct amount of tax. You don't want to pay too much, you don't want to pay too little. You should pay the correct amount. And as a contractor, you can decide when your payday is. I have 2 paydays. I have a monthly payday and I have a quarterly payday. And then ever so often, if something exciting happens, I can have a bonus payday as well. So how can you be a contractor? Well, maybe you're ready already. Ready already? That doesn't sound right, does it? Maybe you are ready. Are you ready? How do you find out if you're ready? Well, we got a quiz for you at devopscontractor.scoreapp.com, which will give you a bunch of questions to understand where you are on your journey, whether you're right at the beginning and you need a little bit more experience, or whether you're nearly there to ready to make the leap, or perhaps you have already made that leap and you are a contractor but you're going through an umbrella company right now. If you're going through an umbrella company, you're not going to have all of those choices I mentioned just now. But coming over to a limited company with my help, you get those choices. And without the compliance headaches, because I can help you with those as well. If you click on that link, it will take you to a page that looks a bit like this. And at the end of it, there's a reward. I know, right? That diagram you saw earlier of the team. Let me go back and see if I can find it a minute. Ooh, it's a long way back. This diagram is in the book. Go off to the quiz, and as a special prize, you'll get a copy of the book as well. Not. Hang on, it's up there, isn't it? Not a solid one like that. That is available on Amazon if you like feeling the books. But we'll send you a free PDF of the book. Let's go back to that URL again, and hopefully that's useful. See you there, and we'll drop some details about Slack and stuff if you've not seen those already. Thanks, and I'll see you again.